The nicest actors in golden age of Hollywood. Behind the glittering marquees and silver screen magic of Hollywood's golden age, something remarkable happened when the cameras stopped rolling. While some stars let fame corrupt their character, others became known for something perhaps more impressive than their on-screen talents, their extraordinary kindness. These weren't just actors who played heroes, they lived as them when no one was watching. What if I told you that the dashing leading man who captivated millions regularly visited children's hospitals without publicity, or that one of cinema's most glamorous actresses personally responded to every fan letter she received for decades? Today, we're exploring the heartwarming true stories of Hollywood's genuinely good souls. Tales that studio publicity departments didn't manufacture, but that lighting technicians, costume assistants, and everyday fans witnessed firsthand. 1. Jimmy Stewart. The beloved star of It's a Wonderful Life truly lived up to George Bailey's character off screen. Long before it was common for celebrities to champion causes, Stewart quietly supported numerous charities without seeking recognition. What many don't know is that despite his fame, Stewart remained genuinely humble throughout his career. Studio workers consistently reported that Stewart remembered everyone's names on set, from leading ladies to catering staff. He was known to bring homemade cookies, baked by his wife, Gloria, to share with crew members during long shoots. One particularly touching story comes from a former camera assistant who recalled falling ill during the filming of Harvey. Stewart not only visited him in the hospital, but also ensured his family had meals delivered to their home during his recovery. Perhaps most remarkable was Stewart's genuine response to his military service. Unlike many stars who served in publicity roles during World War II, Stewart flew 20 actual combat missions as a bomber pilot and rose to the rank of Brigadier General in the Air Force Reserve. Yet he rarely discussed these experiences, preferring to deflect attention from his heroism. When asked about his service in interviews, he typically responded, "I was just doing what everyone else was doing." His generosity extended to fans as well. Stewart was known to spend hours signing autographs, and numerous accounts exist of him going out of his way to make brief encounters memorable. A particularly touching story involves a young fan who wrote to Stewart about losing his beloved dog. Not only did Stewart reply with a handwritten 4-page letter sharing stories about his own childhood dog, but he also enclosed a small toy dog as a keepsake. 2. Audrey Hepburn. While Hepburn's elegance on screen captivated audiences worldwide, her compassion off-screen defined her true character. Having experienced hunger firsthand during World War II in Nazi-occupied Netherlands, Hepburn dedicated her later years to humanitarian work with UNICEF, but her kindness was evident long before these formal efforts. Costume designers repeatedly noted that unlike many stars of the era, Hepburn treated them with extraordinary respect, never demanding special treatment despite her status. She regularly brought thoughtful gifts to crew members and was known to remember personal details about their lives, asking after children by name or acknowledging important events in their lives. What's particularly touching is how Hepburn approached her fame. Despite being one of the world's most recognizable women, she never developed the entitlement that often accompanies celebrity. A particularly revealing story comes from a hotel maid who accidentally entered Hepburn's room while she was present. Instead of being upset, Hepburn invited her to sit for tea, asking about her life and family for nearly an hour. Her kindness extended to her approach to other actresses as well. In an industry often marked by fierce competition, Hepburn was known to champion other women. When a young actress was visibly nervous working alongside her in Wait Until Dark, Hepburn spent evenings helping her rehearse her lines despite dealing with her own challenging role as a blind woman. Perhaps most telling was Hepburn's relationship with her fans. Unlike many stars who had staff handle correspondence, Hepburn personally read letters from admirers well into her career. She was known to keep photos sent by children with disabilities who found inspiration in her work, often sending personalized responses that recipients treasured for decades. 3. Gene Kelly. The man who famously danced in the rain was known for creating sunshine on set. Despite his perfectionism as a choreographer and performer, Kelly maintained a reputation for exceptional kindness throughout his career. What many don't realize is how revolutionary his treatment of dancers was during Hollywood's studio era. At a time when chorus dancers were often treated as disposable, Kelly insisted everyone be treated with dignity. He learned and used each dancer's name, requested proper breaks and adequate water be provided, and refused to continue filming when dancers were exhausted, choices that sometimes put him at odds with cost-conscious producers. Numerous accounts exist of Kelly personally mentoring young dancers, taking time after hours to help them improve their technique. One particularly touching story involves a chorus dancer who was struggling financially. After noticing her worn-out dance shoes, Kelly arranged for her to receive several new pairs, presented in a way that preserved her dignity rather than highlighting her need. His generosity extended beyond the dance world. Kelly maintained friendships with lighting technicians, makeup artists, and catering staff throughout his career. A former studio cafeteria worker recalled that while many stars never acknowledged service staff, Kelly not only greeted them by name, but remembered details about their families and interests. Perhaps most most revealing was Kelly's response to his fame. Despite his status as one of Hollywood's biggest stars, he remained remarkably grounded. When a young neighborhood boy knocked on his door selling fundraising items for school, Kelly not only purchased several items, but invited the nervous child in to see his home studio and gave him an impromptu dance lesson, creating a memory the boy, later a dance instructor himself, cherished throughout his life. 4. Donna Reed. While Reed portrayed the quintessential kind-hearted wife and mother in It's a Wonderful Life, colleagues reported that her real-life warmth exceeded even her most wholesome on-screen characters. What set Reed apart was her consistent kindness, regardless of whether important directors or studio heads were watching. Makeup artists from the era frequently cited Reed as one of the genuinely nice stars. In an industry where these behind-the-scenes workers often bore the brunt of celebrity tempers, Reed was known for her patience during long makeup sessions, often bringing coffee for the artists and asking about their families. During World War II, Reed became known for her extraordinary correspondence with actual soldiers. Rather than participating in superficial publicity photos like many actresses, Reed wrote thoughtful, personalized letters to hundreds of servicemen. After her passing, many of these soldiers revealed they had kept her letters for decades, treasuring her genuine interest in their well-being during difficult times. What many don't know is that Reed was also quietly progressive in her treatment of people regardless of background. At a time when Hollywood sets were still largely segregated, Reed was known to share her lunch breaks with African-American crew members, a simple but meaningful gesture in that era. She regularly brought home-cooked food to share with transportation drivers and security personnel who often worked the longest hours for the least recognition. Perhaps most telling was Reed's approach to young actors. Multiple child performers who worked with her recalled her maternal protection on set, ensuring they had proper breaks, helping them with schoolwork between scenes, and standing up to directors who were insensitive to their needs. One former child actor recalled that when he was struggling with a scene and becoming visibly upset, Reed suggested a break to the impatient director, then spent time playing catch with him outside until he felt calm enough to continue. 5. Gregory Peck. The dignified star of To Kill a Mockingbird embodied Atticus Finch's integrity both on and off screen. What distinguished Peck was his unfailing courtesy to everyone he encountered, regardless of their status or what they could do for his career. Throughout Hollywood, Peck was considered the gold standard of professional courtesy. Studio records reveal that Peck regularly arrived early to sets, knew his lines perfectly, and treated everyone from directors to prop assistants with the same level of respect. During the filming of Roman Holiday, Peck famously insisted that newcomer Audrey Hepburn receive equal billing with him after seeing her remarkable performance, a virtually unheard-of gesture from an established male star of that era. His kindness extended beyond professional settings. Peck regularly volunteered at veterans' hospitals without publicity, spending hours talking with former servicemen. A particularly touching story involves a veteran who mentioned enjoying fishing during one of these visits. Months later, Peck arranged for the man to join him on a private fishing trip, never publicizing this generosity. Peck's approach to fans was equally considerate. Unlike many stars who kept fans at a distance, Peck was known for his patience with autograph seekers and his willingness to engage in genuine conversations. A former restaurant hostess recalled that when recognized during dinner, Peck graciously spoke with each person who approached, taking particular care with children who might be nervous meeting him. Perhaps most remarkable was Peck's response to hate mail he received after portraying Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. Rather than ignoring these letters or responding with anger, Peck occasionally wrote thoughtful replies explaining why he believed the film's message of racial equality was important, attempting to create dialogue rather than division. 6. Myrna Loy. Known for her sophisticated screen presence, Loy's off-screen persona was marked by exceptional warmth and a pioneering spirit of equality. What many don't realize is that decades before it became common, Loy was advocating for equal treatment of all studio workers regardless of position or background. Loy was among the first major stars to refuse to work in segregated environments, quietly but firmly insisting that African-American cast and crew members have access to the same facilities and treatment as white employees. This stance was particularly courageous during an era when such advocacy could damage a career. Her kindness extended to the youngest people on set as well. Multiple accounts exist of Loy bringing small gifts for child actors and ensuring they were comfortable during difficult shoots. One particularly touching story comes from a former child actor who recalled being terrified during his first major scene. Loy noticed his anxiety and suggested they practice together during lunch, spending her break helping him gain confidence. What set Loy apart was her consistency. The same warmth she showed on set extended to her private life. Her longtime housekeeper recalled that unlike many stars who treated household staff as invisible, Loy knew the names of her staff members' children and regularly asked about their families. She often adjusted her schedule to ensure her household employees could attend important family events. Perhaps most telling was Loy's approach to her career longevity. As she aged and roles became less less frequent, she never displayed bitterness or entitlement. Instead, she graciously championed younger actresses, often sending congratulatory notes when she enjoyed their performances. Several actresses from later generations cited Loy as a rare example of someone who made them feel welcomed rather than threatened. 7. Jack Lemmon. The versatile star maintained a reputation for exceptional kindness throughout his decades-long career. What distinguished Lemmon was his active mentorship of less established actors and crew members, using his influence to help others advance rather than simply being pleasant. Numerous actors who later became stars themselves cited Lemmon's encouragement as crucial to their development. Kevin Spacey often recounted how Lemmon took time to offer advice and support early in his career when he was an unknown. Lemmon was known to recommend promising actors to directors and producers, using his clout to open doors for talent he believed in. His generosity extended to crew members as well. During the filming of The Odd Couple, a lighting technician mentioned taking night classes to become a cinematographer. Lemmon not only encouraged his ambition, but arranged for him to shadow the film's director of photography on days when the technician wasn't required on set, creating a learning opportunity that formal education couldn't provide. What many don't know is that Lemmon regularly performed small acts of kindness without seeking recognition. The studio janitor once recalled arriving at work to find Lemmon helping clean up a particularly messy set late at night after filming had concluded. When the surprised janitor asked why a star would be doing such work, Lemmon simply replied, "It seemed like the right thing to do." Perhaps most revealing was Lemmon's response to his own success. Despite his acclaim, he maintained a genuine humility throughout his life. When receiving the Kennedy Center honors, Lemmon spent considerable time during the ceremony thanking the behind-the-scenes individuals who had supported his career, mentioning several by name, a rare acknowledgement of the collaborative nature of filmmaking from a star of his caliber. 8. Doris Day. Behind Day's sunny screen persona was a genuine compassion that manifested most prominently in her pioneering animal welfare work. But long before founding her animal foundation, Day was known throughout Hollywood for her authentic kindness to everyone she encountered on set. What separated Day from many stars was her consistent treatment of crew members, regardless of their position. Lighting technicians from the era recall that while many actresses complained about hot lights, Day always thanked them for their work and often brought cold drinks to share during summer shoots. She was known to remember personal details about crew members' lives, asking after family members by name. Her kindness extended to her approach to other performers. Unlike many established stars who felt threatened by newcomers, Day was known to advocate for promising actors. When a young actor was visibly nervous about a scene with her in Pillow Talk, Day suggested they rehearse privately before the scheduled shoot, spending her lunch break helping him feel more comfortable with the material. What many don't know is that Day's genuine nature sometimes put her at odds with the studio system. She refused to participate in manufactured publicity stunts that she felt were dishonest, preferring authentic interactions with fans over carefully orchestrated photo opportunities. This occasionally frustrated publicity departments, but endeared her to journalists who appreciated her genuine responses. Perhaps most telling was Day's reaction to discovering that her husband and manager had lost most of her fortune through mismanagement and left her deeply in debt. Rather than becoming bitter, she worked harder, eventually taking on her television series partially to rebuild her finances. Throughout this challenging period, colleagues reported that her kindness to others never wavered, despite her personal struggles. 9. Henry Fonda. While Fonda portrayed numerous principled characters throughout his career, colleagues consistently reported that his real-life integrity matched or exceeded his on-screen personas. What distinguished Fonda was his quiet advocacy for fairness on film sets during an era when power dynamics heavily favored studios over workers. Fonda was known to speak up when he felt crew members were being treated poorly, often using his star power to ensure reasonable working hours and conditions. During the filming of 12 Angry Men, Fonda, who also produced the film, insisted on proper breaks and ventilation for the crew despite the tight budget, recognizing that the single-room setting created challenging working conditions. His kindness extended to his approach to younger actors as well. Multiple performers who worked with Fonda early in their careers recalled his patience and willingness to share insights about the craft without condescension. Jane Alexander once noted that during her first scene with Fonda, she was so nervous she forgot her lines multiple times. Rather than showing frustration, Fonda suggested they take a short walk around the set, during which he shared stories about his own early nervousness, helping her relax. What many don't know is that Fonda regularly performed small acts of kindness without seeking recognition. A former studio security guard recalled that during a particularly cold winter shoot, Fonda noticed him shivering at his post. The next day, Fonda arrived with a high-quality coat, presenting it matter-of-factly as something I don't need anymore to preserve the man's dignity. Perhaps most revealing was Fonda's approach to his lengthy career. Despite his legendary status, he maintained a learner's mindset throughout his life. Crew members from his later films noted that unlike many established stars, Fonda never assumed he knew everything about filmmaking, often asking thoughtful questions about new technologies or techniques with genuine curiosity rather than resistance. 10. Ingrid Bergman. The luminous star of Casablanca faced both adoration and harsh judgment throughout her career, yet consistently maintained a reputation for authentic kindness. What set Bergman apart was her refusal to create artificial barriers between herself and those considered below her in the Hollywood hierarchy. Unlike many stars who retreated to private dressing rooms between scenes, Bergman often remained on set, chatting with electricians, carpenters, and extras. A former set builder recalled being shocked when Bergman asked detailed questions about a particularly complex piece he was constructing, showing genuine interest in his craft when most stars wouldn't have acknowledged his presence. Her generosity extended to her approach to other actresses as well. In an industry often marked by female competition, Bergman was known to compliment and support other women. When a young actress was added to Anastasia in a small role, Bergman took time to watch her scenes and sent a handwritten note praising her work, a gesture that the woman, who later became a successful character actress, described as life-changing validation. What many don't know is that Bergman maintained this kindness even during the period when she was effectively blacklisted from Hollywood after her affair with Roberto Rossellini. Despite feeling hurt by the industry's rejection, she never developed bitterness toward individual colleagues. When she eventually returned to American filmmaking, crew members reported she was the same warm, gracious presence she had been before the controversy. Perhaps most telling was Bergman's approach to her fame. Despite her international recognition, she maintained a remarkable perspective on her celebrity. When a nervous young photographer apologized for asking her to adjust her position during a photo session, Bergman reportedly smiled and said, "My dear, I'm just a woman whose face happens to be well known. Please tell me exactly what you need." This lack of pretension characterized her interactions throughout her life. 11. Fred Astaire. The legendary dancer's perfectionism on screen was balanced by extraordinary courtesy off camera. What distinguished Astaire was his recognition of and appreciation for the contributions of everyone involved in filmmaking, regardless of their billing or visibility. Despite his status as one of Hollywood's biggest stars, Astaire was known for learning the names of every orchestra member, stagehand, and camera operator on his productions. A former musician recalled being astounded when Astaire thanked him by name after a recording session, having only been briefly introduced among dozens of others weeks earlier. His kindness extended particularly to his dance partners. While Astaire's precision could have made him intimidating, partners consistently described his patience and encouragement. Judy Garland once noted that when she was struggling with a routine in Easter Parade, Astaire spent hours after official rehearsals helping her master the steps, never showing frustration despite having to repeat movements he had perfected years earlier. What many don't know is that Astaire regularly advocated for proper recognition of behind-the-scenes contributors. During the filming of The Bandwagon, he insisted that the rehearsal pianist, who had helped develop several musical numbers, receive proper credit and compensation, using his star power to ensure this recognition when the studio initially resisted. Perhaps most revealing was Astaire's response to his legendary status. Despite being widely considered the greatest dancer in film history, he maintained genuine humility throughout his life. When younger performers expressed awe at meeting him, Astaire typically deflected praise and asked about their work instead, showing genuine interest in the next generation of talent. 12. Bette Davis. While Davis was famous for her intensity and occasionally difficult reputation on set when it came to her craft, numerous accounts reveal her extraordinary kindness in personal interactions, particularly with those facing challenges. What distinguished Davis was her willingness to stand up for vulnerable individuals in an era when such advocacy could be professionally risky. Davis was among the first major stars to insist on equitable treatment for female crew members, often questioning why women were paid less for the same work as their male counterparts. A former costume assistant recalled Davis discovering that her salary was significantly lower than a male colleague's and immediately advocating with studio executives for fair compensation. Her kindness extended particularly to individuals facing health challenges. Multiple accounts exist of Davis quietly paying medical bills for crew members facing financial difficulties due to to illness. During the filming of All About Eve, when a lighting technician was diagnosed with cancer, Davis not only arranged coverage of his medical expenses, but regularly visited him during treatment, bringing home-cooked meals to his family. What many don't know is that Davis maintained correspondence with numerous fans facing serious illnesses throughout her career. Rather than delegating these letters to staff as many stars did, Davis personally wrote to many individuals, sending photographs, small gifts, and words of encouragement without publicity. Perhaps most telling was Davis's approach to aging in Hollywood. As roles became less frequent in her later years, rather than becoming bitter, she focused on mentoring younger actresses. Several women who later became successful cited Davis's willingness to offer career advice and emotional support as crucial to their development, noting that despite her formidable reputation, she was extraordinarily generous with her time and knowledge. 13. James Cagney. Though famous for tough guy roles, Cagney was consistently described by colleagues as among Hollywood's most genuine and kind personalities. What distinguished Cagney was the stark contrast between his gangster screen persona and his remarkably gentle, thoughtful, real-life character. Unlike many stars who embraced Hollywood's lavish lifestyle, Cagney maintained modest habits throughout his career, often bringing homemade lunches to sets and sharing them with crew members. A former camera operator recalled being surprised when Cagney offered half his sandwich during a long shoot, later learning this simple generosity was characteristic of the star. His kindness extended particularly to industry newcomers. Multiple actors who worked with Cagney early in their careers described his patience and encouragement. When a young extra was visibly nervous during a scene in White Heat, Cagney spent time between takes helping him feel comfortable, sharing stories about his own early career anxieties to help normalize the experience. What many don't know is that Cagney was deeply committed to education, quietly paying college tuition for several young people he encountered throughout his career. The son of a studio janitor once recalled that after mentioning his college aspirations during a brief conversation with Cagney, he received a letter offering financial assistance for his education, support that continued until graduation. Perhaps most revealing was Cagney's response to his fame. Despite his significant success, he maintained perspective about the entertainment industry's relative importance. During World War II, when asked about taking a break from filmmaking to entertain troops, Cagney reportedly said, "Playing tough guys in movies doesn't compare to what these boys are doing. They're the real heroes." This genuine humility characterized his approach to his career and celebrity throughout his life. 14. Katharine Hepburn. Behind Hepburn's famously independent persona was a genuine concern for others that manifested in practical, often unconventional ways. What distinguished Hepburn was her willingness to buck social conventions to advocate for fair treatment, regardless of the potential professional consequences. Hepburn was known for refusing to participate in the studio star system's hierarchical practices. Unlike many leading ladies who expected special treatment, she insisted on waiting in standard lines at studio cafeterias and using the same facilities as crew members. A former studio administrator recalled Hepburn's firm response when offered preferential treatment. "I put my pants on the same way as everybody else around here." Her kindness extended particularly to women trying to advance in male-dominated aspects of filmmaking. Multiple female technicians and aspiring directors from the era recalled Hepburn's encouragement and practical support. When a young woman working as a script supervisor mentioned her interest in editing, Hepburn arranged for her to observe the editing process on one of her films, an opportunity that eventually led to a successful editing career. What many don't know is that Hepburn regularly performed practical acts of service without seeking recognition. During the filming of The African Queen, in difficult conditions, crew members noted that Hepburn often arrived early to help set up equipment and stayed late to assist with cleanup, tasks well outside her responsibilities as the leading lady, but reflective of her belief in teamwork. Perhaps most telling was Hepburn's approach to her lengthy career. As she aged, rather than resenting younger actresses as many stars did, she actively celebrated new talent. Several actresses who worked with her in their early careers recalled Hepburn's generous praise, both privately and to directors and producers, using her influence to help advance their opportunities in the industry. These stories reveal a pattern worth noting. The truly kind stars of Hollywood's golden age shared common qualities despite their diverse personalities and backgrounds. Their kindness wasn't merely superficial charm, but manifested in practical actions, often directed toward those who could do nothing to advance their careers. From James Stewart's hospital visits to Katharine Hepburn's advocacy for female crew members, these were individuals whose goodness extended beyond convenient or visible moments. What's particularly significant is that many maintained their kindness despite the era's immense pressures and temptations. The studio system created environments where stars were treated as royalty, yet these individuals resisted the entitlement that often accompanied such treatment. In an industry structured to separate talent from crew, they deliberately bridged these artificial divides, recognizing the collaborative nature of filmmaking. Perhaps most remarkable is how many of these stars maintained their kindness through professional challenges. Ingrid Bergman during her blacklisting, Bette Davis as roles diminished with age, Fred Astaire as dance styles evolved. Each faced career obstacles that might have justified bitterness, yet continued treating others with consistent courtesy and compassion. Their kindness wasn't conditional on circumstances, but appeared to be a core value that remained stable regardless of external factors. What can we learn from these Golden Age stars whose kindness matched or exceeded their considerable talents? Perhaps it's that true character reveals itself not in how we treat those who can benefit us, but in our interactions with those who cannot. From Henry Fonda's concern for a shivering security guard to Donna Reed's correspondence with ordinary soldiers, these were individuals who recognized their common humanity with people regardless of status. Their examples remind us that fame and kindness aren't mutually exclusive, despite what tabloid headlines might suggest. For every Hollywood scandal or tale of celebrity arrogance, these stories provide a counterbalance, evidence that some individuals can experience extraordinary success while maintaining ordinary decency. Their legacies encompass not just their artistic contributions, but the countless lives they touch through small acts of consideration and generosity. And that concludes our exploration of some of Hollywood's Golden Age stars whose kindness matched their considerable on-screen talents. From Jimmy Stewart to Katharine Hepburn, these individuals demonstrated that fame and genuine goodness can coexist, even in an industry often associated with ego and artifice. What strikes me is how many of these stories come from everyday encounters. Security guards, makeup artists, extras, and fans whose lives were brightened by brief interactions with these luminaries. Their kindness wasn't reserved for important directors or studio executives, but extended to everyone they encountered, revealing character that matched or exceeded the heroic roles they often portrayed on screen. If you enjoyed learning about these Golden Age personalities, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content celebrating classic Hollywood. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, perhaps about your favorite films featuring these actors, or any personal stories you might have about their legendary kindness. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Hollywood's more heartwarming history. Until next time, when we'll explore more stories from the era when the silver screen truly sparkled.